Aisha had always believed marriage was a sanctuary, a place where love softened the blows of life, and two hearts carried each other's burdens. But on the night her world shattered, she realized that sometimes the person you trust the most can become the one who pushes you into the deepest darkness. It started with a doctor's report, just a thin sheet of paper, trembling in her hands, that said she might never be able to conceive. And though her heart cracked, she hoped her husband Hamid would hold her, tell her they would figure it out together, adopt a child, seek treatment, anything. But instead, he stared at her with a coldness that froze her bones, asking, "So what use are you to me now?" As if she were an object that had suddenly malfunctioned. And within days, whispers seeped through the house from his mother and sisters, blaming her, shaming her, calling her cursed, while Hamid spent more late nights outside, returning home smelling like perfume that wasn't hers. Then one rainy evening, when thunder roared like the anger inside her chest, Hamid stood by the doorway with a suitcase already packed, not hers, but his, and tossed her clothes onto the floor, telling her to get out, that he wanted a woman who could give him children, telling her she had failed him as a wife, and though she begged, cried, clutched his hands, he shoved her so hard she hit the ground, and the last thing she heard, as she stepped outside drenched in rain, was the slam of a door that once symbolized her home. With nowhere to go, no siblings, no living parents, she wandered the streets, holding her torn dupatta against her chest, trying to keep her dignity and her breath from breaking. And when she found a small bench near a shut shop, she sat and cried until dawn painted the sky pink, unaware that her life was about to collide with someone whose existence was far beyond her world, a man named Zaidan Khalid, a billionaire CEO known for his brilliance, arrogance, and the mysterious sadness in his eyes. That morning Zaidan was driving his son, little Rayyan, to school when he spotted a figure curled up by the bench, shivering, soaked, and trying to hide her tears. Rayyan, pure-hearted and observant for his age, tugged his father's sleeve and whispered, "Baba, she's sad. Can we help her?" And though Zaidan rarely stopped for anyone, something pulled him toward her, a memory, a shadow of someone he once failed to save. So he parked and approached. Aisha, embarrassed, wiped her tears and stood quickly, apologizing, ready to walk away. But her legs wobbled and she nearly collapsed, and Zaidan caught her before she hit the ground. She expected judgment, disgust, maybe pity. But instead his voice was steady, controlled, almost gentle, as he asked, "Who did this to you?" And she shook her head, unwilling to share her shame. Noticing her trembling hands, he removed his coat and wrapped it around her, and the warmth felt like something she hadn't felt in years. Kindness. Then little Rayyan held out a small chocolate from his school bag and said, "Auntie, please don't cry," a gesture so innocent it completely broke whatever was left of Aisha's composure. Zaidan offered to drive her somewhere safe, but she refused, not wanting to burden strangers. Yet when she tried to walk away, she stumbled again. This time, Zaidan didn't wait for her permission. He simply lifted her into the car, shocking her, and told her calmly that he wouldn't leave her on the street. His voice had the authority of a man used to being obeyed. Yet there was no arrogance in his tone with her, only concern. In the car, Aisha told him she could be dropped at the women's shelter, but Zaidan shook his head, saying it was not a safe place, and instead took her to his private clinic, where his personal doctor checked her bruises, dehydration, and emotional state. When she finally confessed she had been thrown out by her husband for being infertile, she expected mockery or pity. But instead, she saw Zaidan's jaw clench, his eyes darken, and his voice drop into a deep anger, not at her, but at the cruelty she had endured. After she recovered slightly, she insisted on leaving, feeling she didn't belong in a place this luxurious. But when she stepped outside, rain began again and she froze, remembering how helpless she had felt the night before. Behind her, Zaidan stood with an umbrella and asked quietly, "Where will you go?" And she had no answer. She whispered, "Anywhere. I'll find work." Yet even she didn't believe her words. To her shock, Rayyan ran to her, hugged her leg and said, "Come with us. Please." and before she could respond, she heard the words that would change her life. "Aisha, come with me." She turned to Zaidan, confused, trembling, unsure if she had heard correctly, and he continued, "Not as a burden, not out of pity, but because you deserve safety, and because my son, he hasn't smiled like this in years." Inside his eyes, she saw sincerity, pain, and a request he wasn't used to making. Overwhelmed, she hesitated, but something deep inside her, a voice she thought had died, whispered that maybe this man and his lonely little boy were meant to cross her path. She stepped toward them, rain soaking her once again. But this time it felt like cleansing, like the world washing away the hurt. And as she sat in their car again, watching Zaidan adjust the rearview mirror so he could see her better, she felt an unfamiliar flutter in her chest, hope. Little did she know that stepping into that car would lead her into a storm of secrets. Healing, danger, and a love she never believed she deserved. When Aisha stepped into Zaidan's mansion for the first time, she felt as if she had entered a world built of silence and hidden wounds. The house was grand, flawless and breathtaking, yet strangely cold, like a palace missing its heartbeat. Little Rayyan held her hand tightly, as if afraid she might disappear, while Zaidan watched her with an expression she couldn't decipher, a mix of curiosity, caution, and something deeper he didn't allow himself to show. Aisha sensed it instantly. This man had rescued her, but he was battling storms of his own. And as she took her first uncertain steps inside, unaware of the secrets that lived behind these walls, one thing became clear. Her arrival was about to change every life in this house, including her own.